Thanks for joining us and being our guest speaker for tonight. And of course, thank you, Diana, for sponsoring it and especially starting this Asian Americans Network with me. And thanks, Cindy, as well, who's our co-moderator. And thanks, Liesel, from the Mentoring Club, another sponsor of this Asian Americans Network and co-moderator. Thanks, Richard. It's our 2 p.m. talk. Thanks for joining us. Let's see, Toria Aviva. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I will keep inviting you to the stage so that you can freely participate. You're encouraged to do so, although never obliged to do so. All right. With that, let's start. Welcome to Asian Americans Network. At this point, I'd like to ask my co-moderator, Sandy Wong, to set the room. Sandy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Asian American Network. So today's event is total of 1 hour. So after the guest sharing, we are going to open the Q&A. So first of all, I would like to say thank you to the Gloria to spend the time with us today. And we are going to record on the Zoom for the speaker's speech part. And after that, we're going to open the Q&A, and then we will stop the recording. So please feel free to raise your hand, and we are going to invite you to the stage if you want to make a comment or if you have any question for the guest. Thank you very much. This is Sandy. I pass this to the Liesel. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandy. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandy, and good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, everyone. I am Liesel Mendoza, and I'm the founder of the Mentoring Club. The Mentoring Club is a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to provide a mentoring community for aspiring and seasoned leaders. So anywhere in the world, we help working people find mentors who can guide them to develop the skills they need to achieve their career and life goals. We help mentees fulfill their goals through meaningful work that creates positive impact in the world. And long-term, our vision is that as mentees become leaders, our dream is for them to become mentors to others. So I'm very happy to be collaborating with Hong, Diana, and Sandy for this Asian Americans Network room on Clubhouse. Thank you very much for welcoming the Mentoring Club here.
Great. Thank you so much, Sandy and Liesel. All right, so this is the Asian Americans Network on Clubhouse. This is an open public space. Everybody is welcome. Asian Americans, of course, and anyone who appreciates Asian culture or who works with Asians. This space is designed for people to come. They know it's here every Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. California time. If anybody from anywhere, please can simply join. Please join us. And we come to share our experience and our stories and network and learn from each other and support each other. If things work out, please do connect and do business together. We hope that happens here. Tonight, I'm honored and pleased to welcome Gloria Young. Gloria is president of Young and LeMay Associates. The firm provides dispersed team collaboration and organizational knowledge capture. The firm's clients include municipalities, public-private partnerships, and private organizations. Gloria trained those organizations in leadership, diversity, equity, and inclusion, in organizational development, and capturing critical business processes. Gloria's experience spans state, county, and city government with a lot of relationships and intense relationships. She was an elected school board member for 13 years, served on numerous other boards, and has received state and local recognition for her contributions. Our topic tonight is hope for our future. And with that, Gloria will open up and lead our conversation covering a number of very important topics of the day. Our submersion in social media, in sensational news and misinformation, our desperate need to avoid causing further pain and distress to each other, and our duty to hold our legislators accountable on important issues. Reaching across our divides, we can work together to leave a legacy of hope. That's the topic for tonight. So I will start out with a number of questions I have prepared for Gloria so that we can set the stage for you to feel free to also join in, express your own experience or your own point of view, or has Gloria any question? With that, Gloria, welcome to Asian Americans Network. Please introduce yourself and any opening statement before we go into the first questions that I have for you.
Well, thank you, Hop. Hope for the future. That's such an important and significant topic. And I thank you, Diana and Sandy, for inviting me to speak. You shared my bio, and the only thing that I would add is that I have an affinity for designing programs that spur relational opportunities, whether in business or in life. And two of those examples are the shadowing program and advocacy. My work and my passion, my faith, is in inclusion. We are better together. I'd just like to share that my tribe, those I trust, some of whom are in this room right now, including my daughter that's in the audience, are made up of people who look like me and those who don't. I know as we spoke on, we specifically talked about the African American, Asian American relations. There are, in fact, challenges. There are some biases. There's a lack of knowledge. And I look forward to exploring those issues and opportunities to come together with you this evening. So I turn it back to you for your questions.
Thank you, Gloria. Absolutely. Yes, thanks for opening that way. Yes, I think a lot of us here actually do come here to this room already knowing that we are, first of all, siloed. Even you mentioned African Americans and then Asian Americans. Even Asian Americans alone, we are siloed within Asian Americans right now. And much more than that, actually, and with a lot of misunderstandings, siloed and misunderstanding. And yet, the shared challenges and burdens and pains we could help each other instead of misunderstanding each other and then causing each other's even more harms and sufferings. So yes, these are tonight's topics are a little bit colored on the dark side, and we hope to shine some light to those. Yeah, and thanks, Gloria, for bringing your extensive experience of many years across the state to share with us, glimpses of how we can address this. So I have prepared a couple of questions to get started so that our participants to their own questions and share their own experience. So my first question is the following. Right now, I think we heard everywhere. Business is hurting. Some of them closed for good permanently, and some trying to open again, and they couldn't open. They don't have the money. They don't have the means. California, in the Bay Area, not so badly, but elsewhere, yes, still searching badly. Everyone grows restless now. Someone else must be doing for all this. What is your experience, Claudia, with the bridges that have grown between?
Thank you, that's a very packed question. But I will speak to the wedges. But at least, the wedges causes us to laugh, and we need to lighten up a bit as we talk about this subject because it is a serious one. There's an African proverb, and the word is Ubuntu, and it means I am because you are. It's unity in the human family. It's building relationships and breaking down walls. And I think that that is key. And as you mentioned, we need to go from silos, from the I to the we to community. That's the only way that we can be able to break down walls together. Yes, there are and is discord of wedges in some respects between African Americans and Asian Americans. And I think it's sponsored by a number of factors. There's caution, there's ignorance, there's distrust. There's, in some cases, the situations have been spurred by others to cause division. Sometimes we're the pawns, and sometimes we're the persecutors. I can think of several issues, whether it be in San Francisco in particular, eminent domain that has caused issues, redevelopment, regentrification, and those all add to the fire. As two distinct minority groups, we need to not allow ourselves, I don't think, to be separated by those wedges. We are people of color. We are survivors. And I'll again say Ubuntu because I plan to come back to that a little later. Again, it's I am because you are.
Yes, thanks for sharing that. Thank you. On a lighter note, the first time I heard of Ubuntu, I come from the high-tech background. Ubuntu is a what is it? Is an open source operating system. Sorry, and that's the first time I heard of it, but not the true meaning. And thanks for sharing that with us. Very important, yes. So we do need to come together and share and understand each other and speak up and listen to each other. Otherwise, circumstances are going to just tear us apart. Ignorance, manipulation, all sorts of things, right? Things that are painful and not pleasant happening to us in our businesses and our lives are going to just spur us to act in a way that is not well thought out or beneficial. Yes, I did want to start with something important right away without soft edges. So next is this. The problems are there. Any possibility, any ways that would have solved the problem. So to solve the issues in society, there are things like civic engagement, social media activism. I wouldn't count this as a big deal, not quite as yet as it is. But so social media activism, those are complex and demanding things that we are not born knowing what to do. And yet also at the same time, a lot of misinformation being circulated on social media as well. So yes, please share with us, what would you say is at stake here with civic engagement and social media activism?
I just start out with saying what's at stake here is our survival. I think it's important that, as you shared, I've worked on the local, state, and federal levels. And I think our ethnicities need to be involved on all of those levels. We need to be engaged. We need to be getting involved at the local level. We need to allow ourselves to speak and be willing to be visible and to be heard. Because getting involved allows us to see structures change. We have to be willing to serve. And speaking up is so critical. One of the things that I strongly believe in, I ran elections for years, both in Palo Alto and in San Francisco, and I believe our vote counts. Our voices count. Our votes count. And the reason why I said that twice is because if we don't vote, we have still voted by abstention. And I don't think people recognize that if you don't vote, you're saying that you agree with the populist vote. And so each one of us has an obligation to vote. When we participate on the local level, we have an opportunity to make a difference on a local level. We can go into the city council meetings or the planning commission meetings that are dealing with land use issues and have our voices heard. And if we were to come together and go into those meetings and have our voices heard in unison, what a powerful statement that would make. And so I think that we need to speak out, be heard, be active, participate. All of that needs to lead towards action. I was thinking about the survival, and I was thinking about last year when there were several rallies here in San Francisco on Stop Asian Hate. Keep in mind, in San Francisco, only 5% of the population is African American. 34% is Asian American. I attended it and watched some of those rallies, and I have to say that more than half of the people involved in those rallies were African American, standing up for Stop Asian Hate. So again, I think we have opportunities to bridge that divide that has caused us to be separated. And I think that as long as we're supporting each other and being intentional about that, we have the opportunity to make a difference. I was thinking about the fact that a couple of years ago, I worked with a couple of politicians and others to present to the mayor here in San Francisco a report that spoke to Black and brown women in San Francisco that needed to be raised in visibility and positions in the organizations and cities, and the ability to keep us here in homes and with jobs that allow for home ownership. And so I think, again, when we partner, we can make things happen in a positive way. There was a summit that came out of that. So we need to continue to be activists and to work together. Again, we're better together.
Great. Thanks, Gloria. Yes, so yes, it takes effort, right? It takes effort to be heard. Number one, with the vote. Thanks for reminding us of that. And that's not even sufficient. We need to speak up. We need to go to the council meetings and speak up. And we need to talk to each other and come together. Yeah, quite a lot of work to be heard so that our interests are going to be catered to be taken into account. Yeah, otherwise it's the how would I say, the corporate interests, the anonymous corporate interests that take over. Yeah, by default. So with that, so even within our own mind and our own opinion, so the tools of propaganda from dark to a darker shade now, the tools of propaganda and misinformation have become more and more powerful and sophisticated. What anybody could have imagined just a few years ago, not even decades. So what are the real dangers here with regards to propaganda and misinformation?
Thank you, Han. I truly believe that propaganda and misinformation, it shows up on so many levels. And the danger, I believe, is to really just push mistrust and belief manipulation. We know news media, internet, social media artificial intelligence with the algorithms and data analysis, all of those are tools that can be used for good, and they can also not be used for good. And when used not for good, they can elicit fear and break down the opportunities for us to build relationships. We can't let any of those tools define us. We need to be forward thinking and use those tools in positive ways, as you and Sandy and Diana and Lizelle are using Clubhouse with Asian American networks and other networks to really focus on minority issues, and also recognize the move towards being a part of making this world better, looking at corporations and how we build relationships with corporations and other organizations. And I think that is absolutely necessary. And it's also happening in the African American as well. And I just wanted to share two stories. I think we are stronger together, and I just wanted to share this. There are two stories that I will try my best to be brief with. One of them is regarding a situation that occurred in Palo Alto. Years ago, there was a physicist that was visiting Hewlett Packard, and he was murdered on the streets of Palo Alto. And I worked directly for the mayor. I was one of the top 4 officers, and what happened was I was presented with a press release to release to the news media, indicating that it was presumed that the 2 perpetrators were African American, Black. And I was concerned about the fact that if something like that was presented to the media immediately, and Bob Wall was the fire chief there, who's on this stage right now. At the time, I don't know what he was there at the time, but anyway, I was concerned that firefighters that took off their uniforms, or police officers that took off their uniforms that happened to be African American and walked out on the streets of Palo Alto would be presumed to be those criminals. And so I was not going to allow something like that to happen. Several days later, what occurred was that there was a press release, and all the major press people were there, cameras everywhere, and the announcement was made. And there was just a couple of us that worked in the city hall that were African American, and we were all standing together. And when the announcement was made, it was unfortunately that it was Asian that had perpetrated this crime. And as a result of that, the few of us that were there that were Black, we breathed a sigh of relief. And what struck me is that Asian Americans came together and they breathed a sigh of fear and anticipation of what could possibly happen. And what that said to me is that as people of color, if one of us commits a crime or does something that's not perceived as being wonderful, it affects the whole community, the whole race. We feel it strongly. That's not the case with white Caucasian people. They don't walk around saying, somebody committed a crime and therefore I'm impacted because that reflects on me. That's not something that occurs. And so I think with people of color, we do need to pay attention to those kinds of things that happen and be alert, astute, have our eyes open, and recognize that we share pain in so many different ways. My second one is going back to Ubuntu, and you did share about it being an open source technology. Several years ago, I was invited to Stanford Research Park to witness the creation of a new program, and it happened to be that the engineers that had created it, they were so excited about it, were Asian, and they were talking about this new program based on AI algorithms. And so as they were sharing it, they too described it as Ubuntu, and they went on to say, I am because you are, or you are because I am. And as we went through the modeling and went through their presentation and demo, as I asked questions and others asked questions, and as we put data into the system, it quickly indicated to us that there were algorithms that were biased, and they were biased towards people of color. And again, I think we need to be aware, and we need to have our eyes open. We need to hold each other accountable. We need to not let others, again, as I said before, define us. And we need to look deeper. What are the dangers? It's allowing ourselves to be influenced and to allow misinformation and manipulation control us rather than us controlling the information.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you for sharing that. So very, very important. I myself, thanks for sharing that. I must say I've been ignorant of so very much more than I had thought. I read in the news that I'm Vietnamese American. I read in the news that some Vietnamese committed some crime somewhere, and I just read that. I never thought, it never crossed my mind that I walk out in the street and somebody and think I'm Vietnamase American, and that could be me, But yeah, that's so true. Thanks for bringing that awareness of the extent of the problem of perceptions, right? Of negative perceptions, absolutely. And to your point regarding AI, bias in AI, of course, the AI, we are not educated well enough about these things, but AI is trained to recognize things for the mainstream. So, I was explained not too long ago that medical research is now conducted with AI to develop new remedies to say cancer, for example. So if the remedy are not developed with data that are geared for minority ethnic groups, then these solutions won't exist for those minorities, right? So we are getting into a world that is more and more complicated. Thanks for sharing those two dimensions with us for laying out these things. All right, now my last prepared question before we open up, maybe we can start shining the light on these things and not stay so dark, is what can we do? How can we work now and leave a decent legacy for younger generations and future generations, so that there is hope for a better world and not stay in such a dark space?
Thank you, Han. I truly believe that us being aware, this opens up our eyes. It opens up eyes in this room that may not have been open. It allows us to come up with questions. And I'm not the only expert in this room dealing with these issues. We all are. And so when we can come together in a collaborative way and share our stories, our experiences, and move to action, that's what we're looking for. I believe we are all in a service to each other, and that is extremely critical. And what's at stake, again, I think what's at stake is our future and our survival. We can build upon each other in terms of our respect for each other. I believe, and I had the opportunity to attend a Zoom networking meeting a couple of weeks ago, the Black and Asian Alliance Network, that is made up of young women, Black and Asian Americans, coming together to discuss issues in society and to take action. And their outcomes, they're looking for outcomes. And it was such a powerful and just moving experience to be a part of that and to hear the new generations and what they're doing. And I think it's a perfect example to us to follow their lead. I think we can also look at opening up more rooms like this on Clubhouse where we can have the kind of engagement that you have brought to the stage tonight and allow us to move that needle in a way that is going towards the positive side, not towards the negative side. Again, sharing our stories, allowing us to be bonded. I wanted to share that Diana, who invited me to speak, and I thank you again, Diana. She also reached out and suggested that we have lunch together. And so yesterday we met midpoint between our two, where we are. And I've never met her before, and we came together yesterday, and we broke bread together, and we started a relationship. And I know it's one that will go on, and I look forward to it. It just was such a rich conversation yesterday. So I am very, very hopeful about what our future looks like when we can have the kind of conversations that we're having now, and that we can look at how we can make a difference. There's so many things that are happening on Clubhouse. I'm proud to be a part of New Wineskins, the Institute for the Theology of Culture, that's looking at hard issues that affect our society. We work in consultation, transformation, and education. Cookie and Bob and I are a part of another clubhouse that's Paradox of Governance. So we're looking at structures and processes that affect government and governance. I just think that when we start working together, we're stronger. I want to leave a legacy for my children, my grandchild, and all of our future generations with hope and a better future.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you again. Yes, absolutely. So I to second you on that. Definitely, Asian Americans Network. We are designed. We are set up initially and continue to be nurtured as a safe space for people to find each other every Tuesday here on Clubhouse, to know each other more and more, be comfortable, and learn about each other's stories and experience, and perhaps do something together. And for that, thanks for reminding us that this is still social and on Clubhouse and nothing places and in-person meeting and a richer interaction. The more we have the human interaction, we have in our control, as opposed to just the adversity of misinformation and manipulation and things that urges us online, right? And we can make sense of and detail. All right. Thanks so much. With that, I do want to reset the room. This is Asian Americans Network. We are for Asian Americans and anyone who appreciates Asian culture or works with Asians. This is a space to share our experience and stories, to network and learn from each other, support each other, perhaps do business together, and definitely connect. Particularly first, the rules that we have set for the room is to respect each other. You know, sometimes you hear from people who are different from you, come from different background. So listen respectfully and participate, speak up as well, and encourage others to speak up. And follow the speaker, follow the room, and follow each other. Thanks for joining us tonight. I will keep inviting you to onto stage so you can participate. And with that, now is the time when I am going to open up the room and go by mic sequence and invite you to share your experience and opinion and point of view, or ask any questions of Gloria. Thanks, Gloria, for sharing your extensive exposure and experience at the state and city and local government.